You're right. You okay? Are you okay? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. How is everyone? I woke up with quite the voice change, but it seems to be doing better throughout the day, so we will see. We'll see what's going on. All right, so today we're doing this little flower that's hiding beneath there. Just sorting out my threads over here because I have a feeling they're going to get in the way. How is everyone? It's another Monday, which means that we've completed 7 flowers and we are almost halfway through. Today technically is like the halfway point exactly. I already feel like I need to do another stitch along because what are we going to do when this is finished? Like stitch by ourselves? I don't know. I don't know if I can go back to that. Stitching all alone? Good morning. Okay, sorted. Quick sort. Okay, so this is just a little flower that I put in some of my patterns. It was in the Bright Florals pattern, and I thought it was really cute, so I thought, let's do it for this one as well. So, easy peasy. I've chosen these 3 colors, so this will be the outside little petals, this will be the inside circle, and then the light yellow will be the inside middlemost circle. So these 3 together. I'm going to start with this one. 6 strands. My fabric is meant to come today, so if you've ordered a kit from me, they should be shipped today or tomorrow. It depends. It says it will come before 10 p.m. at night. So, I don't know. So today or tomorrow is the day that they'll be shipped. And then I need to call the thread shop because I didn't do it yesterday and see if they can ship me the thread color numbers that I need. But I don't know if they're still open or not. So we'll have to see. They say that they're open for online orders, but I don't know if someone's like physically in the shop, you know, or if it's like I don't know. All right, so I've got 6 strands, all 6 strands here. And all we're going to do is fill up these little humps with satin stitch. Now, if you are not a big fan of satin stitch, of course you could do the detached chain stitch like we did here. You can do 1 for each one. Yeah, but you will have to fill it in with some straight stitches or satin stitches anyways, because when you do your detached chain stitch, it'll go from here to here, which means you're going to have this big white area. So have a little think about that. Real quick, I'm just going to fix these here. Got a little bit crazy, I think, when I drew this on because they're all kinds of different shapes. But you know what? They don't have to be. Hi, George. You missed yesterday and you missed the day before. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. 3 colors for this flower. There's the outside petal color, there's an inside one, and there's an inside one. So these actually go quite quickly, these little petals. I use 5 stitches for each one. So 1 in the middle and then 2 on each side. So there's 3 so far. You can do a variegated thread with this. It's so pretty when you do the variegated thread. I could go get the hoop, but I've just put it away over on the old bookshelf. So again, I like to start in the middle and then do 1 on each side. Of course, you could just continue going all the way around, meaning start on this side here and then fill it in all the way around. But yeah, I don't like doing that. I tend to do 1 in the middle and then some on each side. And some will have 5, some will have 4. I say every single time, but there's no like set pattern of you have to do 5 stitches for this, you have to do 3 stitches for this, you have to fill in the shape. So however many stitches that takes for you, that's how many. I know some people are doing it in a 6-inch hoop, so you might want to make this the threads smaller. So you might want to do 4 or 3 strands instead of all 6. But I've got an 8-inch hoop, so for me the 6 strands is fine. I also noticed in this hoop I've tended to use really like light colors, like almost like wildflower colors. So I've continued that with my flower choices, with my thread choices, I mean. Yeah, whereas the other hoop is like really bright. So if I zoom out, I mean. So all of these are almost like muted, pastel-y, like wildflower colors. Whereas these ones are like super bright, colorful, cheerful. Yeah. So when I put them next to each other, they'll be a little bit different, but that's fine. It's absolutely fine. I mean, totally fine, guys. That's totally fine. So that's pretty much my plan today. I keep saying I'm going to do some house stuff. And I think today's actually going to be the day that I'm going to do it. Because after this, I'm going to... Let me zoom back in so you guys can see the stitches better. After this, I'm going to sort out the kits. So that means I have to put all the threads in, the needle, the pen, print out all the papers that go inside each one, get the hoops out, make sure they're not, unusable. Put a little hair bow in each one, which David remembered to get from the store, thank goodness, because I forgot and we were out. And yeah, then just wait for my fabric to come. And once that comes, I can cut it and then pack them all. There's about 30 orders, I think, that have kits in them. Some of them have more than one kit, but there's about 30, so I'm hoping to get like most of them out today. I do feel really bad, guys, because I know that some of you ordered them like Wednesday or Thursday, and that's when I ordered more fabric because I was completely out, and it still hasn't come. It said the 27th to the 30th, so I was kind of hoping it would be Friday or Saturday, but that was not the case. Which, like, to be fair, I know that's not essential, so, you know what I mean? Like, fabric's not really an essential need, not like food. So I'm like, really, I'm not that upset, but maybe I'll do some house stuff, like clean the sheet, like wash the sheets, change the sheets on the bed, or sweep the floor. I don't know. Just gonna be a crazy day here. So hopefully you guys have more exciting things planned than I do. So it's just the satin stitch. We've done them before. Nothing crazy about this one. Hi, Susanna. Good morning. Hello. Was that Carrie? I'll clean the bathrooms today. Oh my gosh. Ugh. And there's another Carrie. Ooh. That's such like a Midwestern thing. Apparently this wasn't in all the way. Or not tightened. Cleaning the bathrooms is probably the least favorite, other than sweeping the floor, because in my house it's like all one room. So if you go to my stories, you can see the video of Jessie today up on the chair. Oh, it's Carrie again. I was like, oh my gosh, do we have another Carrie? Because I'm pretty sure we have like 3 Carries now. But no, it's the same one. Well, it's good to have you anyways. But yeah, because this room is like one big room, I have to like move everything from one side of the room to the other, and then sweep, and then move everything from, and then move it back, and then move everything from the other side, and then move it over, and then I sweep, and then I can move it back. So it's like a lot of shuffling of like chairs and furniture, all kinds of stuff. I want to get like some benches for that table instead of big chairs, but I feel like I'd regret it. Like, I feel like maybe I would miss having a back. I think they make benches with backs, don't they? Oh, good for you. Carrie said we've only just got up, so I think I'm still half asleep. Good. I'll make this last one a little bit taller. Okay, so I'm almost finished with this one. The next one we'll do is the inside. Let's do a little bit over. And as always, check and see if you need to add any other ones. I can already see this one right here needs one. So I'm just going to jump over there and do that real quick before I finish with this color. And maybe this one too. Carrie says, weekend off, nights at work. Susanna's watching in bed. Weekend of, not off. Told you I was still half asleep. So weekend of nights at work. Goodness. Okay, let's just... Oh, Susanna's in bed with a purring cat. That sounds so lovely. All right, so like I said, we're going to do the inside. So you might have to make the circle a little bit different. And this is what I mean. What we're going to do around the outside edge right here is do 1 ring of French knots. And because we're only going to do 1 ring of them, meaning they're all going to be next to each other, they're not going to be like scattered to fill up this space, we might have to alter this circle here to make it so that it's the same all the way around. Do you know what I mean? Because before we had more space. You want just enough space for 6 strands, 3 wraps to fill that up with a nice chunky knot just around the edge here. And to help with that, we're going to go a little bit farther when we fill it in with our satin stitch. So I've just got yellow thread here, a nice light yellow. There's no number on it, of course. Typical of me, innit? Guys, I feel so bad that I never write the numbers on. Sorry for that. Isn't this amazing that you guys get to like watch me every day just deteriorate a little bit more and more and more? The other thing is that it's going to be a satin stitch the whole length. So if you need to add these little guides, you totally can. It's like a sickness diary of my deterioration. Isn't that ridiculous? So we're just gonna go back and forth. This doesn't have to be neat. You could have even done like a basket weave stitch in the middle. That would have been really cute to add a little bit more texture. Should we do that? Should we do that where you weave it like a basket? It might be really cool. I'll wait until someone says yes or no and then do that. On with the show. Is that yes? Okay, then we'll do that. Yes. Okay. So with the basket weave, you can do a loose basket weave or you can do a tight basket weave. Now the loose one is more like the one on the green plants. I'll just show real quick, like this. Where it's loose, you can still see the fabric. Or you can do a tight basket weave. And the tight one will be more so that you don't see any white at all. So let me rethread my needle real quick. And we're actually going to start the exact same way. Shut up. Just play the music. I don't have time for that. Okay. So as always, you know I like to start what is happening today? Like this. Yeah. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of measure these because I don't want them to be really like too tight, like a satin stitch. That'll probably be okay. Yeah, if they're too tight, then you're going to have a hard time going over and under and over and under. So I'm going to space them out just a little bit. And you know I like to start in the middle, and that's because that way I can get, this is going to be a pain in the butt because this thread is already loose. You see it? It's already become untwisted. I'll try my best. That's all we can ask, right? So we're going to make you can do horizontal lines first or you can do vertical lines first. It really does not matter. But you know I like to start in the middle, so that's how I'm going to start. Just leave it to me to make everything like way more complicated than it needs to be. And don't forget, we will still do the outer, this ring here with French knots. So if it's a little bit like crazy on the sides, don't worry about that. Okay, let me just take this out, the tail, because I didn't trim it. It's quite long. Okay. So after you have either your vertical or your horizontal lines, it doesn't matter which one you start with, we're then going to go from the bottom, yeah, and we're going to weave over, under, over, under, over, under. So if you want to, you can switch to a blunt needle. Of course, I don't have any with me right now. Nope, that one's sharp too. Nope, that one's sharp too. Or you can just use the eye of your needle. The eye of the needle that you already have. So go through this way. Sometimes that helps with grabbing the right strands. This is going to be a pain in the butt for me because all of these strands are already so separated. So I've already used them quite a bit. This was just a spare piece of that same yellow that I had. So have a think about that before you start because it's going to be not very fun. So we're going to go over this one. Yeah, under the next one. And you're going to continue that pattern the whole way. And the reason I'm saying this is going to be hell is because you don't want to actually grab those threads at all. So when you go under, you're not actually going through the threads, you're going under all of the threads. So if you go through the threads, it'll mean that your thread won't be able to move back and forth like this. And you're going to need to move it back and forth to get it in the right position. So there's the first one. Yeah? So we went over, under, over, under, over, under, over. And this will vary depending on how many lines that you've made. Yeah? And what you started with. So if you started with over, then your next one will be under. If you started with under, then your next one will be over. So when that's all done, you're going to put it just down because we're going to end on over. Like that. So you have just the one. So the next one, you're going to switch it. So I'm just going to come up right next to it. And this is where we're going to look to the thread next to it. Okay, so this one right here, we've gone over. So this one you will go under. And yeah, it will be a little bit hard, but that's the name of the game, isn't it? Okay. And then obviously this one is under, so we'll go over. And you're just going to alternate every single one like that. So the easiest way is to get a longer needle, like a bigger, longer needle. And do them all at one time. So you can just pull it through and be done with a couple at one time. Obviously I didn't do the bottom one, so I'll do that. And then don't forget to squish these over so they stay in place. And then down. And then you'll carry on doing that for the whole rest of the time. And obviously some of these will be a little bit tricky because it's a circle, so you're going to run out of space on some of them before you do others. But you have to remember that it's every other one. So over, under, over, under. So you always have to look at the one next to it to make sure that you're doing it in the same pattern. Otherwise, this one right here will always be under and this one right here will always be over. Do you know what I mean? So you'll have the same pattern. You won't have this weaving pattern. Okay, I'm just gonna turn it sideways so that I can do this a little bit easier. Come on, you can do it. And it will be tight. It will be tight on the side. That's probably good enough because the French knot will finish the rest of it. So now we'll go to the other side and finish this one. So obviously the closer together that you make these horizontal marks, kind of the closer together you're gonna have to put the vertical ones because you kind of want them to be the same. Of course, you could do them a little bit different if you wanted to. Come on, one more. One more. Nope. And you can use your needle to squish them over so they're nice and tight. I know, it's shimmied out of the way. I'm sorry. Hi, Zara. How are you? We are doing a basket weave stitch for the middle of this flower. Impromptu. Oh, don't be sorry. So this is what I mean, that it might get a little bit tricky. So you have to make sure to follow the pattern. So that's probably good enough because we're going to do the French knots around the outside. So I'm going to have to stop there. Yeah. I'm just debating whether I should do one more on that edge, but I think it'll be okay. All right, and I've chosen a kind of bright color for the outside ring. So I'm gonna do French knots all around the outside and fill that space up. And I will go live later again today to fill in this flower, I'm going to try and do all the rest of the petals so they're done. And then we can just focus on the middle part. Because I know a couple people have been like, I'm too scared to start it. And that's okay because I haven't showed you how to do it yet. So for this, you can start anywhere around the circle. And we're going to do 6 strands, 3 wraps. And hopefully that will make a nice chunky knot and fill up the edges. Now this is one of those flowers like that are just from my head. There's no, I don't know what flower it could have been, if you know what I mean. If you didn't want to do the weave in the middle, of course you can just do regular satin stitch. That's what we were going to do before, until I got the idea of doing the basket weave, only because I thought we could add some more stitches to the stitch along. So the good thing about the stitch along is that I'm teaching you a lot. Come on, what are you doing? Teaching you a lot of different stitches. You can go and take those stitches and hopefully make your own flowers. So when you draw them out, you can say, oh, do you know what? I think I could add this stitch here. So it's not necessarily to teach you how to make that flower. It's more about the different stitches. So yeah, we will use satin stitch a lot. We will use back stitch a lot, but those are general stitches that you should know. You know, you want to practice different shapes and sizes. Hello. Ooh, Carrie says, it looks so good. I've got some cool variegated thread I'm going to use for this one. That would be so fun. And guys, don't forget to tighten up your hoops before every session. Every time you start, before you start, make sure it's tight. Mine was so loose. I'm surprised that these flowers didn't pull when I did them yesterday. And you can just tell. I'm gonna have to do it again after this. So there we go. That's today's almost finished. What do we think? In the pound shop, like Poundland. Or like Pound Stretcher. Goodness, that's amazing. What a find. Okay, so another little tip and trick that I found is when you're planning the rest of your stitches, if you know you're going to do French knots on the inside of something, try and end your thread and begin your thread on the outside, and then you'll have less knots to try and go through and go around. So if you noticed a couple times, I really had to pull, and I know it's because I've gone through a knot that's on the back, and it can really mess your knots up. You can actually pull the French knot all the way through to the back, which is, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but because you can just do another one right on top of it, but it's quite annoying when sometimes it can leave a really big hole in your fabric. So there you go. So by using those big knots, the big ones, one, you get This is pointless today. 1, you get some practice on using big knots and doing them. And 2, they fill up the space really nicely. So there we go. I'm so happy I did that. That looks so nice in there. And it gives like a bit of texture. It would be really pretty on a sunflower, although we're not doing a sunflower this time. But it would look pretty for the middle of a sunflower instead of having the French knots in the middle. So this is what we have so far. And the old one next to it. There you go. So I hope you've enjoyed our little session today. I'll be back later. Probably, I'll try to do it like in the afternoon sometime. To do the middle of this one, and then we can work it out together so that we can finally finish. But that means I have to pack the kits and then fill in each of these little BBs. So hope you have a lovely Monday. Say a little prayer that my fabric is here soon. All right, I'll talk with you later. Bye.